here where it didn't go quite right, and how did you handle it? We're not asking you to, say anything that you wouldn't be comfortable sharing. But if there's something that you're like, well, I had somebody upset about this or wasn't quite happy about it, how did you feel like you did well handling it? Okay, go ahead.
So we said, first off, acknowledge it, and, I always, kind of hate it when I, tell someone something, they're like, oh, yeah, but I had this happen, and then you're like, okay, well, my problem's not important to you. So, make them, know that you do care and that, it isn't stupid and, it is, a real problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then we said kind of, follow up on it, too, once you're done. And just, check back with them, hey, did you get it? If you weren't the one to figure it out, just double check or, I don't know, yeah, just go back so you know that they're still, so they know you're still caring about them.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess one example, I don't know who actually got it out of the garbage, but there was a little toy frog or something that this person left on the table, and it was a little kid's toy, and Franklin dug through the garbage and found it, so I guess that's pretty cool that you shared that.
Good job, Franklin.
What's great is though, it wasn't just in the garbage, it was in something in the garbage that we opened the thing.
I'm sure though, whoever that was probably remembers that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you wouldn't go somewhere and a lot of people would do that for you. So thank you for taking the initiative to do that. Good examples. Anybody else? Yes.
We had one time at a wedding. Okay, first of all, what we said, we would apologize to and accept the fault, even if it's not your problem necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
We had one wedding where they had 2 ice cream machines and then the breaker shut down or something, and we were just, what do we do? So basically before you would do anything, just to maybe talk through playing with them and just let them know that hey, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna leave you, but I'm gonna go fix it, sort of a thing, so they don't just think that you're walking away from them or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Anyone else willing to share? And if you feel like it's doubling up, we can just kind of cut to whoever has other ideas, but go ahead.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, I was just thinking of a story that went along with it. Okay. So anyway, so we said just stay calm, and if you don't really know what's going on or you don't understand, don't freak out about it, and just go find a manager or something who can help you. And then we also said to be honest. If you don't know how to do something, or if you need a key to get into the bride's room, just tell them oh, I don't have the keys, but I will go get someone to help you. And just to be honest and not lie to them oh, I lost the keys. No, don't do that. Because that just loses the respect that they have if they know you're blatantly lying to you, something like that. And then going off what Macy said, on Monday, they drink a lot of coffee, and so we kind of struggled to get the coffee out there all the time because there was just so many people drinking coffee. And so one thing that a lot of us did, we would run back and forth, and so we would leave with the coffee, but a lot of people would be well, are you bringing more coffee? And I just remember talking to one lady, and she's well, there's no coffee cups, and I was oh, sure, let me run back in the back and grab them for you and bring them back. I know that you're leaving them, but you can still help them and bring it back as long as you do it in a timely manner.
Yeah, making sure they understand why you're not here anymore, saying, I'm going to take care of it, and here's the steps I'm doing. So, good.
Danae and I said that no matter how much they torque you off, the customer always comes first. So don't roll your eyes back at them. Don't try to talk back to them, but they always come first. You have to be calm. You have to be respectful. And you smile. Even if they are so mad at you, just smile and say, I will do everything in my power to fix this. If it's a server and you really just don't know how, get that, say, I'm going to get my manager right away and we're going to figure this out. Stay calm, but never get mad back at them.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I think if I were upset about something or whatever, and the manager didn't feel, or whoever I was working with, didn't think that it was as important of a problem as I feel it was. As a client, I would just feel I was being looked down upon, and so just taking a step into their shoes and realizing they might be stressed out, and that just to do this little thing that might be really tedious, that they would done just to do it, because that will be the customer service that we were talking about earlier too.
Absolutely. Good.
We said that you should communicate what the problem is, what solutions or compromises you need to come to, and then if you need to talk to your manager or other servers or bartenders or whatever. And then also just do it quickly and get the problem, make it your #1 priority to solve it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And we said,
Go ahead.
we said like, show that you care and communicate with them. Don't just say like, okay, I'll go look at it and then just disappear. So like care and communicate, and even with like small like tedious things like 1 or 2 years ago, I believe we had it where like it was super hot in here and we couldn't get the temperature to go down because it was already down. And they were like, is there anything like anywhere we can go? And we just let them into the cooler and stand into the like the bridal party and like the bride and stuff. We let them into the cooler for a little bit, and they were in there for like 15 minutes, and they were like, thank you. And then so it's just little things.
The gesture you can do to make it right for them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is that all of our groups? Okay. We kind of have a step-by-step process that I would like you to kind of think about. And we hit most of these points, which I appreciate that you guys are well aware of how to handle a complaint. Step number 1, listen carefully. And listening, your facial expressions are going to tell them how you're listening. Are you in a hurry and that blank stare of I'm not letting any of this sink in, or is it really I'm intently listening to you? You know, your body gesture of I'm leaning in, I'm listening, I'm being quiet, I'm maybe nodding my head and acknowledging what's going on. That's going to set the tone for the rest of the conversation. The clients that feel like they were listened to are more likely to come back to you with future problems to help you create a resolution than if they feel like they weren't listened to the first time. So how do we create a successful event? One problem comes up, we really listen and we follow these steps, and all of a sudden they're super happy, things went great. We don't listen and they don't come to us with future questions, and now those things start to escalate and build up and they start to feel like they weren't well taken care of. And so this just really sets the tone for the rest of it. Part of listening, it can be repeating back and confirming that you understood what they actually told you. So if you really are like, that question is just kind of confusing, repeat it back. Maybe you didn't hear it right, maybe there's other words we can use to clarify. But if you say, I'm going to assume what they told me and I'm going to go try to figure out how to fix this for them, you're not only delaying the time that they can get their response on what they wanted, but then they're like, they didn't even listen to me the first time, so why am I going to mess with trying to explain it the second time? Apologize. Like this, even if it's not your fault, we want to deliver excellent service, and that's something that when they meet with me, when they book here, when they see you guys, we promise that to them. I know we set a really high standard for everyone here, and I know we can pull that off because we do, but they come in with that expectation of this is an awesome facility. And so when they start to see things that maybe they weren't expecting, or if they have any hiccups along the way, we need to apologize and say we're going to correct this. Acknowledge, like we kind of came across, their problems are not to be dismissed. It may be the silliest thing you have ever heard. I had a question from a groom. They had a totally open bar, and they said some of our guests are getting confused by the bar pricing being on the menu. Can you reprint one without any pricing on it? And I said, sure, that's fine, we'll take care of it. I don't think more than 3 people in the whole room probably had any concerns about it, but he had a concern about it, so we took care of it. Solve the problem, they felt like they were acknowledged. So even if it to you you're like, wow, why would I deal with this? Just take care of it, make them happy. Now if it crosses any line where you're like, I don't know if that's okay, then contact me or contact your manager and say, I don't know if we're allowed to do this, but we can definitely try to create a positive solution out of that. Like we had mentioned, explain that we're going to solve the solution or create the solution, how we're going to correct the problem. We're not going to just walk away and say, I'll take care of it. Say, well, I'm going to talk to my manager. I'm going to go check the breaker box to see if I need to get things figured out. I'm not really sure what to do, so I'm going to call Ashley and we'll get things taken care of right away, just so that they know your next step of action. And then thanking and following up with the customer. Tell them thank you for being patient. Thank you for giving this problem to me. Thank you for, even if you can't solve it for them and they still walk away a little bit frustrated, thank you for being willing to bring your concerns to me, because I apologize I can't fix it for you, but I do appreciate you being willing to talk to me about it, because sometimes they just aren't going to be comfortable coming to you with it, and then they walk away grumbling, but we don't know why or we can't fix it. So thanking the customer and then kind of doing a follow-up. The night's probably not over when this happens. If it is, we're trying to do our best to resolve it, but go back to them. Hey, are you guys having a better night? Is there something else I can do for you? Hey, if it's something major, could I get you guys a drink at the bar? Could I bring your table some more water? Things like that to kind of make them feel like we're still thinking of them and still taking care of them as the night goes on. When I did some training in college with some customer service staff, they told me The problem is never you, the problem is the situation, but if you let the problem become you, the situation can't be solved. So what that means is, they don't hate me, they don't hate Nikki, they don't hate anybody. They hate the problem or the situation that they're in, but you're the one receiving the problem. So if you take it personal and you let yourself get worked up, you let yourself become defensive, you let yourself become frustrated with the situation, you're not going to come to a positive outcome no matter where you're at. But if you think of the problem and the frustration and we funnel it into the situation and creating a positive outcome, now we're both working together because we both want that same outcome versus just letting it come back to me. And so if you can take that approach, cool yourself off, take a deep breath, say, okay, let's find a solution. More often than not, you're going to be able to come out with a positive outcome for everybody. So, anybody else have any other examples or feedback or conversation with that topic? Okay, I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but I want you to feel prepared to handle stuff as we go forward and to feel like you're doing the best you can and kind of what our expectations are. And so the next way that we're going to transition into this is, how do we combat problems? We combat problems by knowing our position responsibilities, knowing the expectations of the TRSU, knowing who we are and what we strive to do in each shift. And so this is where we're going to kind of break it up. We're going to start off with the whole group because everyone here has probably dabbled in or is trained as a server. And so we're going to start as the whole group. Eventually we're going to whittle it down to just bartenders and managers and then just managers. But for the moment, I'd like you, if you still have your card in front of you, write down at least one thing. If there's multiples, that's fine. If you're able to put it on like a piece that you can tear off and hand to me, that would be great. We want you to put down at least one concept, idea, question that you have in your position as a server that you feel like you could get better at, you don't know how to do efficiently, you want a refresher on how to be trained, something that you're like, I just don't have the confidence to say I could do this perfectly at this time. So that way, if there's any training that needs to be done today for that position, we can work together to get everybody up to speed.